Hello friends, in this session we shall see how we can customize a free and open source software QGIS using the Python programming language. My name is Prasun Kumar Gupta and I am with the Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, ISRO at Dehradun. Just to give you a heads up in case you have not used or do not know much about the software, QGIS is a free and open source GIS software. It is freely available from its website qgis.org and it can be used to create, edit, visualize, analyze and publish geospatial information on any kind of operating system. It can be a Windows operating system. If you have a MacBook, it can run on a MacBook. If you have a Linux based system like Ubuntu or Red Hat, or even in some mobile apps, mobile devices. It works on your desktop, it works on your server, it even works in your web browser, and as developer libraries. QGIS is also coming up giving a very strong library called PyQGIS, which can be used to do several types of customization tasks. QGIS is FOSS4G software. That means it is free and open source. There are variety of softwares. For example, there is GRASS, there is Saga, Jump, Ilvis and so on, but this is one of the most popular and most widely used softwares. It is released under the GNU GPL license. That means it is free and the source code is available. So if you know a lot of programming, you can download the source code and even customize it for your specific organization or for your specific project. It is a software that can basically work with any kind of raster and vector data. You can make maps, that is the basic thing that people do, cartography. You can create data. So if you have some satellite image or some base map like a topo sheet or some other image, you can digitize, you can create or compose your data, you can edit existing data, you can then analyze it by running geoprocessing tools like buffer, union, etc. And finally, you can also do advanced spatial and network analysis on QGIS. So it is a very popular GIS software which has all the capabilities of any standard GIS software. And Python, as you have been learning, is a great and versatile programming language. It is widely used in the GIS world and other places also. But in the GIS world, Python is the most widely used language. It enables you to be more efficient in automating workflows. So if you have a set tasks which you have to routinely do, that can be easily automated using QGIS, which makes your work reproducible. If tomorrow somebody says, how did you get this answer, or how did you, since it is all automatic or it can all be automated, Python makes QGIS workflows very easy and automatic. Also, you don't have to install variety of packages. So for example, QGIS comes with GRASS and Saga inbuilt. But actually you don't have to install them separately. You just go to the website qgis.org, download their latest file, and that itself has GRASS, has Saga, and has a working installation of Python, everything built in. All you have to do is just start Saga and open the Python console, go to plugins, Python console, and you can start writing your code in Python. Why this session is important is because QGIS is a very popular software. If you have not used QGIS, you must do it now or start using it now, because this is a screenshot of the past 7 years of searches on Google, and the other popular proprietary software is way below what people search for on the internet. So people are working more, searching for solutions in QGIS more as compared to any other proprietary software. And customization of QGIS has been popular for a very long time. Earlier, it was in less number of places. You could maybe do some process under batch, or you could write some script. So this is a video from 2014, in fact, where this gentleman is explaining of the different ways you can use Python in QGIS. I recommend that you watch it in your available time. This is a very popular and up-to-date website. This is by a professor by the name Anita Gracer in Austria, and she maintains this blog where she has written a 14-point documentation on introduction to QGIS Python programming for non-programmers. So if you are not a programmer and you want to learn how to write Python in QGIS, this is a very good tutorial. The link is given at the bottom of the slide, and I strongly recommend that you go through this tutorial to become proficient with this technology. A good friend of ours, Ujjwal Gandhi, he is earlier with Google. Now he has his own startup called Spatial Thoughts. He maintains this website called QGIS Tutorial, where there are right from the very basic, how to add data, how to create a map, to very advanced practicals, step by step with screenshots and data, is very properly maintained and maintained. So there are some on this website, such as getting started with Python, running processing algorithms, writing custom scripts, building your own plugin, building a processing plugin, and running and scheduling jobs. So these are all some very good tutorials which you can refer to. Ujjwal also maintains another page called courses.spatialthoughts.com. The link again is given on the bottom, where he has written a full-length tutorial on how to use Python in QGIS, specifically emphasizing on the PyQGIS API. So as I told you, QGIS has a powerful Python API which is called PyQGIS, and he has written an entire full-length course and given for free, which deals with understanding, let's say, what are the classes in PyQGIS, how to make a GUI, how to go learn about deep advanced PyQGIS, running code at the launch of QGIS, and so many other things. Finally, I want to emphasize on this tutorial, which is available on the internet, which is written by this gentleman Victor Olaya. He is one of the most earliest developers of QGIS, and he has been instrumental in building the geoprocessing capabilities of QGIS. I remember his contributions were in earlier tools like F-tools and Sextante, and then processing, and now in Python, in injecting Python in QGIS. So in this tutorial, he deals with PyQt APIs, how you can run Python on the QGIS Python console, how you can insert expressions, custom Python expressions in different places. If you want to do symbology and you want to write some code to change the symbology, that also is possible. You want to change the colors, size based on some logic written in Python, that is also possible. Custom Python actions like user interaction with canvas or attribute table. If you right click on the attribute table, you want some new options to come. That type of customization is possible. Map tips, when a user is interacting with some features displayed on the map, when he clicks on it, a website should open for, let's say there is countries displayed. You click on a country and the Wikipedia page for that country should open. So that kind of customizations can be done. How to write macros. When you are opening a project, you want to do some background checks to happen. When you are saving the project, you want to ensure that it is meeting these rules. So those kinds of on closing, on opening, on saving, that kind of operations you want to automatically perform, macros. There are processing algorithms, all those geoprocessing algorithms, spatial analysis, network analysis, raster, vector, all these analysis options, they are now in a separate toolbox called the processing algorithm. So you can use Python to batch process them, to write a script which merges them to do a specific job. So lot of possibilities are there with QGIS and Python programming. And finally, what is that we are going to do today is we are going to create plugin. In this tutorial also you can see how to create a plugin. I will demonstrate now how to create a plugin using the QGIS software. Finally, there are some books which I am which I want to recommend. These are very uh, good books. The first one is Basic QGIS. Now, since QGIS 3, a lot of things have changed. A lot of new functionality is added. So this is like updated last August 2022, and current version has all the capabilities of the latest version of QGIS. Kurt Van der Kwast is a professor at IHE Delft, and he has written a book on QGIS for hydrological applications, which I think is very relevant to you. And also a book by Gary Sherman, one of the founders of QGIS, on PyQGIS, which is extending QGIS with Python 3. So let us jump to the tutorial in which I will show you how you can create your own plugin using Python and PyQt and PyQGIS. So let me start by opening QGIS. This is the standard QGIS 3.6, 6.3, and this is where we will be creating a new plugin. Now, let's see what is the gap area first. Then let's see how we're going to build that plugin. So I'm taking two shape files. One is a subsection of some days snow cover area derived from MODIS. It has been polygonized, so it looks chunky. And this is a small district. It's a district in Uttarakhand by the name Uttarkashi. So what we basically want to do is clip these, find out how much snow is there in Uttarkashi. But the problem is, let's say let's look at the attribute table of this snow file. There are two columns. Let me add the area and perimeter of these snow patches. So if I go to geometry, add geometry attributes, and select Snow North India and click on run, it creates a new temporary layer which has two additional columns, which has area in meters square and perimeter in meters for each of the different polygons in this file. Now I want you to, or let me just keep this for I want you to notice these two values. These two polygons are partially inside Uttarkashi, and they have a given area and perimeter. Now, if I clip this file, the snow file with the Uttarkashi boundary, it gives me this new boundary, but it does not update these two columns, so area and perimeter. So I have to recalculate my area and perimeter. So what I'll do is I'll try to create a tool which does both of them together. So let me just clip first. Vector geoprocessing clip. I want to clip the snow with, the new file, added geominfo with Uttarkashi. And you will see that in the clipped file, these area and perimeter values do not change. That means this is not the actual area and perimeter of this new shapefile. So let me again run that tool geometry, add geometry attributes. For the clipped layer, let us calculate the uh, geometry values, that is area and perimeter. You see now it has updated those values. So these are the new values for this. If you look at the earlier file, that was not there. Sorry. This is the new file. Yes, so it creates two additional columns and it updates the area. So instead of doing a two-step process, I want to create a plugin using Python to do these two things together. Now, to build a plugin, we need a. Let me remove the files and let me go to Plugin Manager. So we go to Plugins, Manage and Install Plugins. We go to Settings and put a check to this box, also show experimental plugins. To build plugins, you require two things. One is a plugin builder. So we'll search for plugin builder. You'll see an option says plugin builder 3. Click on it, click on install plugin. This may take about 10 to 30 seconds depending on your internet speed. All these instructions are also given step by step in the PDF on the link provided to you. So let me say bit.ly/QGIS Python. Oh, strange. Oh, QGIS plugin, not QGIS Python. So there's a PDF file which has the same instructions step by step. So this plugin is now installed, plugin builder. The second one which we want is called plugin reloader. Okay, so just search for plugin reloader here, click on it, click on install. And yeah, this is a small one. So once you click on plugin now, you should see two options, plugin builder and a plugin reloader. I was showing you some websites before we start building the plugin. One is the QGIS website, qgis.org. We will also be using Qt to develop the front end of the plugin. Though you need not install Qt separately, in the version QGIS, the current version of QGIS, Qt designer comes pre-installed. So if you download the standard installation of QGIS for Windows standalone and install it, you will also get Qt designer pre-installed. So you need not Qt designer pre-installed. So you need not install it separately. Also, we need a text editor. Use any one which you like. I am using Sublime Text. If you are using Notepad++ or Atom or any other is fine. You just need a good text editor and not Notepad, the standard Windows Notepad. Okay, so let's go to QGIS and let's start building the plugin. So this first thing, let's build a, so they've made a utility called plugin builder, which generates all the boilerplate. That means there are many files which have to be created, some Python, some Qt. So a lot of backend work has to be done. So this simplifies that thing. All you have to do is enter some values here in these different fields, and it will generate a folder for your plugin. Then we can add the logic, what that plugin will do, what drop downs it will have, and so on. So this is the backend portion of the plugin. So we'll have to enter some values. So I am going to I'm going to name the class, the Python class, as clip with geometry. The plugin name will be, I have all these values, I'll just take it from the handout. Uh, yeah, so the plugin name is clip with geometry. Some description. The plugin clips two data sets and updates the geometry. Updates the geometry columns. The module name is clip underscore geometry. You can write your name. Let's say I'm writing my name and email address in the given fields. So what is important here is this class name. This we'll also use in our Python code. So this should not have any spaces. This is a Python variable name. That is important. Similarly, the module name should not have any spaces. It should be in. It should have a lower. This should have an underscore also. So if you you can follow these instructions here also, and fill the values. Give some description of what it does. So the plugin, same thing. The plugin clips to layers and updates the geometry columns. Click on next. Now there are different types of plugins you can build. You can have buttons, you can have widgets, processing providers. So we'll just select the first option, which is tool button with dialog. Whatever text you write here will appear in the as the text of the tool. So let me mention that the text on the menu item will be clip with updated geometry. Also, where do you want the plugin to come? Whether you want it to come under plugins or vector or raster, that you can fix by specifying this option here. If I select vector, it will come under this vector dropdown. Then click on next. These options you keep as default. Please do not change. Then click again. Make sure you flag this plugin as experimental. And then click on next again. Here you specify a directory where all the boilerplate code and the ancillary files will be kept. It will generate its own folder. So on the desktop, I have everything in a folder called QGIS plugin. I will just select this folder only and click on generate. Once you click on generate, you will get a warning saying some file could not be compiled. This is not an issue. Just click on OK, and you will get a pop-up saying that your plugin has been built and it is kept in this folder QGIS plugin -clip underscore geometry. This is your module name. So I will just go to the folder and see what has been created. On desktop, I have a folder called QGIS plugin. Inside there, a new folder is created called clip underscore geometry. Here you see a lot of files have been created. Okay. So I'll just click on OK here. Then next thing we need to do is we want to compile this file. Now this is a simple text file actually. If you open this file in resources.qrc, if you open it in Sublime Text, you will see it has some 4 lines: Q resource, prefix, plugin, clip geometry. This basically tells what icon will be displayed for your plugin. So there is a PNG file given called icon. If you open it, you will see that there is a small yellow-green colored icon which will become. Now this has to, the PNG file has to be made platform independent. So this has to be compiled into a Python file. So we will do some steps which will convert this QRC to resources.py. Now, what are those steps? Those steps are something like this. On your handout, it is given you have to start the OSGeo shell. So on your QGIS start menu, you will see something called a OSGeo 4W shell. You have to open this shell. It is similar to your command prompt. Let me just increase the font. And here you navigate to today's folder. So let's say user/admin/desktop/QGIS plugin/clip underscore geometry. And then you type these 6 commands one by one. I'll just copy paste from my text file. So first is echo off, second is call these files. So 1, 2, 3. So this is basically generating some environments which has Python, Qt, OSGeo. Then we will say echo on. And finally, this one line which will convert my QRC file into a Python file. So this tool, PYRCC5, it will convert that resources.qrc file to resources.py file. Okay, that is the only use of this shell. We can close it off. In the folder, you will see that now there is a new file called resources.py has been created. This is a Python file. Now it is independent of this icon.png. This file itself will be compiled to create that icon. Now this plugin that we've created needs to be kept in a local folder. Now these plugins are local to users. So in your Windows system, if you have multiple users, then you have to copy this in different directories. So if I copy this in QGIS, there is something called user profiles and active profile folder. So there's a direct option to open that user folder. It has a very long path. This is a shortcut. Go to settings, user profiles, open active profile folder. And inside Python plugins, paste the new plugin that you have created. Now once I have pasted it, I need to restart my QGIS. Yes, I need to close QGIS and open again. And now if we go under vector, so I think we have to activate that plugin. Go to manage install plugins, go to installed, and you will see that your plugin clip with geometry is there. It has to be activated. Now close this, and under vector, my plugin clip with updated geometry gets listed. So currently it doesn't do anything. If you click it, default box opens, but this is all the preliminary steps you have to do to make sure that plugin comes here. And now we can write the logic, what all buttons will be there, what happens if we click on OK and all that. Okay. Now, next step is to open Qt Designer. So So go to QGIS 3.6, click on Qt Designer, and it should open something like this. Now, in the folder that you have copied, there is a UI file. This is the user interface. UI stands for user interface. This needs to be opened in Qt Designer. Make sure you are opening where you have pasted inside the user profile. QGIS, QGIS 3 profiles, default, Python plugins, clip geometry. Open this file. So I'll just copy the path from here. Click on File, Open. Go to this path and select this UI file. Now this software, Qt Designer, will help me make my boxes, buttons, and so on. The first thing that I want to do is I want to put some text. It is called a label. So click on this option which says label, drag and drop it on your UI. By default, it has this text label. Let us change this. Let me double click on it and say select layer. Okay, and if you press Ctrl R on your keyboard, you will see how it will. So this is a preview how it will look in QGIS. Also, let me add a combo box. So combo box is nothing but a drop down. Again, click and drag and drop it in your UI. I want this to be a little wider, so I can click and make the size bigger. Okay, now let us save it and let's see whether these changes get reflected in my QGIS environment. So let me just, and this name is select a input layer. Select an input layer. Just click on File, Save, go to QGIS. There is an option to reload the plugin. So click on Plugin, Plugin Reloader, reload chosen plugin. It will show a box which asks you which plugin you want to reload. Specify clip with geometry and click on OK. You will see an option which says menu which says clip geometry reloaded. Now if you start your plugin, you will see that the changes that you did in Qt are reflected here. But currently there are no layers in the drop down. So how do I populate this combo box? To populate this combo box, let me first add some layers here. Let me go to data. Let me add these two files, Snow and Uttarkashi. And I want that in my plugin, these two layers should come in the drop down. To do that, we have to write some code. Now, which code do I change? We will change this file called clip_geometry.py. I'll just follow the handout as it is. Yes. So we open this file clip_geometry.py in the text editor. Use any text editor you want, Sublime, Atom, Notepad++. See, there are some comments in the beginning. There are some Python imports. There is a class called clip with geometry. There is a constructor. So all this code has been pre-generated by the plugin builder plugin. There is a constructor for the GUI. Then there is a run. This is the last line where pass is written, is where we will write the logic that what is going to execute. But initially we have to write some more imports and some more code into this. So first thing that you have to do is write from QGIS.core import QGIS project. Now all this is case sensitive, so QGIS project with Q capital, P capital, all this you should follow as given in this handout. So after your existing imports, type from QGIS.core import QGIS project. Next, to populate that combo box, you have to copy this code and paste in the run function. So the run function is at the end, at the last, def run, just before dlg.dialog.show, that is this line, we will paste the code which is given in the handout. So the indentation here is very important. Okay, sorry. So indentation has to be followed correctly. Yeah, that's it. So what are these three lines? Basically, from the current QGIS project instance, we take all the layers, we clear the combo box, and then we add these layers in the combo box using the function add items. Okay, now let me just save this code, file and save, go to QGIS, reload the plugin. There is a shortcut for that. You see this refresh type of button. And now if I open the plugin and I see that my two layers are listed here. Okay. Great. So now we have one text for one label and one combo box. Now let us add more UI elements and then more logic to it. Yeah. So these are the things we will be adding to the UI. We will add 3 combo boxes, one text box, one more button, and some labels. So let me do this quickly in my Qt designer. So I want one more label. I will click and drag this label here. Edit the text, change the size, edit the text, select clip layer. I want another combo box. I drag and drop it here. I want another label which says calculate geometry using. Now you can calculate the area and perimeter using in different projection systems, either the projection system of the layer, the project, or ellipsoidal. So calculate geometry using. And this is also a combo box. So I am putting these 3 combo boxes. Finally, I want another label for my output file. So let me type output file. Let me increase the size of this box. And here I want a line edit box. There is a box called line edit. Yeah, it's under input widgets. I select this and drag and drop it here. I make this box a little bigger. Then I want a browse button to come here. That is called a push button. So there is a push button here. Drag and drop it to your UI. make it little smaller. They use this convention of 3 dots. If I press Control R on the keyboard, this is finally how my UI will look. Of course, you can make it beautiful, make the text larger, make it rounded and all that. Currently, let us see how we can make this plugin working. So let me save this. That is all the changes I want to do in my UI. Now, a few things to remember when following this demonstration. This object name is very important on the right hand side. These combo boxes and this line edit boxes, these object names are basically Python variables. We will be going to access these values, which layer has been selected, through this name, combo box. This is combo box 2, this is combo box 3, and this is line edit. If you want to change it, you can do that here, but correspondingly you have to change in the Python program also. So I have done all the changes that I want. Let me go back to my QGIS interface. Let me reload my plugin. Let me start the plugin again, and I see all the changes have come. But since we had written logic only for this first combo box, the others are not getting populated. Neither are these buttons working. So let us write code to populate the combo boxes. So 2 lines I will add to populate the remaining two combo boxes. This will come after the line we have typed. Yeah. So combo box, the first one, has the layers which are listed in the project instance. Similarly, combo box 2 also has the same thing, the layers which are listed in the instance. The third combo box, which is calculate geometry using, will have 3 options: layer CRS, project CRS, and ellipsoidal. These are the 3 ways you can generate the area and perimeter columns. So let me save again and let me reload and see what is the change which is happening. So now both my combo boxes have the layers that are listed here, and the third combo box has the values which I wrote in text in my code. Okay. Now I need to write some code on this browse button for it to work. So let's do that. Before that, we have to import three more things actually. One is a function called QFileDialog, which is there inside PyQt, and 2 other modules. One is the processing module. This is the heart of the QGIS analytics or functions which are there. And temp file is a Python standard library. It generates a temporary file. So we'll need an intermediate file to be created. Temp file will generate that intermediate, or generate the name of that intermediate file. So let us do these imports. Let me go to the top of my code, and after Qt action, I will write Q file dialog, and I will import 2 other modules. One is called processing and the other is called temp file. So 2 changes I had made. In this line 26, from QGIS PyQt Qt widgets import Q action, I added this part, comma Q file dialog, and I added one more line which is import processing, comma temp file. Now let me go down and write a new function called select output file. Now this function will only generate that dialog which asks you for an output file name and writes that file name in the line edit box. So let me type this in my code and we will see what changes it does. So I wrote a new function called select output file. It uses the Q file dialog function that we imported. Inside that, there is a function called get save file name. It will open a dialog which will have, for example, if I say file open in Sublime, so it gives some prompt. There is open written here. There is some filter here, file filter, and so on. That things we can change. So instead of open, I want it to have select output file, and I want it to be filtered to .shp. So once I write this, it will generate a variable called file name. This is a string variable, which is basically the entire path and the file name of the output file. That variable name will be written in the line edit box. Which is the line edit box? The one that we created. This one. This is the line edit box on which that string will be pasted. Okay. So let us save this and reload our plugin and see what change happens. So I reloaded the plugin. I start the plugin again. Now I directly click on this browse button. Nothing happens because this button has to be connected to that function. There is one more step that has to be written. There is a click.connect. This line has to be written under in the run function in the self.firstStart. So in the run of if self.firstStart, paste the line given, which is dialog.pushButton.click.connect. That means when the push button is clicked, call the function select output file. This is the select output file function. So I save it again. I go back to QGIS. I reload it and I start the plugin. And now if I click on this browse button, you will see that the save dialog file has come. If I specify somewhere, okay, I want to write the output here. Let's say I call it output only, and I click on save. It is populating the entire file name in this line edit box. C user desktop QGIS plugin output.shape. But still the OK button doesn't do anything because we have to code for it. So let's go back to Sublime. And I told you here we write the actual code, that is the heart of the entire processing. Now those are few lines of code. Now let me first copy it there and then I will explain to you how it works. So delete this. At the end of this code, there is this word pass written. Simply delete it and paste the code which has been given in the handout. So there are 7 lines of code. The first line is first few lines are simply getting the data from the UI into variables. So the first line, input file is equal to string self of dialog.combobox.current text. So whatever text is written in the combo box. Now if I start the plugin, the first combo box basically lists the names of the 2 layers, Uttarkashi and snow_North India. So whatever text is written here will be returned in this variable input file. Similarly, the second line is same. Whatever is listed in the second drop down will be returned to this variable clip file. The third geometry, again same thing. Whatever is listed in the third drop down will be returned to this. So here it returns the current index, not the text. So current index is, if the first value is selected, then it is 0. If the second value, then 1, 2, and so on. So this is a 0 index of the item which is selected. Output file is another string variable which is nothing but the text on the line edit box. Okay. So I am in the first 4 lines, I am just taking all the data which is there in these 4 things, 3 combo boxes and a line edit box, into 4 variables. Next, Fifth line, I am using the temp file module. Remember, we imported a module called temp file in the beginning here. So this temp file module has a function called named temporary file. It will create a temporary file in your temp folder with the extension shp, and it will return the name to this variable intermediate file. Why am I doing this? I need that intermediate file. So after clip, an intermediate file will be created. That intermediate file, I will update the geometry and then save to my output file which the user requires. Now, the last two lines are the where the actual processing is taking place. This way of writing has changed from Python 2 to Python 3. Earlier, the function was called run algorithm or run ALG. Now they have changed it to run. All the arguments were passed by separating commas. Now they want all the arguments to be enclosed or be passed as a dictionary, and so on. So these are some minor changes which have taken place in QGIS 223. So processing.run, this is the name of the clip function. This is the name of the export add geometry columns function. The clip function takes two inputs, the input file and the clip file. It will generate the intermediate file output, and the add export geometry columns will take the intermediate file as input, take the geometry method 0, 1, 2 based on layer, project or ellipsoidal projection systems, and generate the output file in the location which the user has given. So once all this is the last line of code that you have to write. And if I save all this, if I click on file and save, and I go to QGIS, I reload the plugin and start again. So my input layer is snow, the bigger polygon file. I want to clip it using the smaller polygon called Uttarkashi. I want the clipped output to have the updated geometry columns in the layer CRS, that is the projection system of the files. The input projection system is UTM-44, so it will give me perimeter in meter and area in meter square. And I want the output to be saved in my today's folder called snow in Uttarkashi. Click on save. It will automatically append .shp. And now if you click OK and you go to today's folder, you will see that a new file called snow in Uttarkashi has been generated. Now let me add this to QGIS. Let me zoom to that area. So you see it has clipped this snow file for the Uttarkashi boundary, and best part that the attribute table now has the updated area and perimeter values. This is a very small example of how you could create a plugin in QGIS, but this has more of historical relevance because earlier creating new plugins was asked for or was most wanted, but nowadays how you want to automate your processes is more asked for. All those options are available. You want to build a model. This is called a model builder in other softwares. It is called graphical modeler here. Here you can drag and drop your values and link them to create your model. Also, you can write your own scripts. Here you can write your own models, your own toolboxes, your own scripts, and add it to your toolbox. I showed you how we can create plugins, but the advantage of using QGIS is that you can add Python to places which have never been imagined. For example, in layer styling, I want the colors or the location or placement of these to be written based on a logic which I want to write in Python. So you can write Python in your expression builder. You can write Python for color, for style, for stroke width, so many places. Even if you want to put some labels and the label placement or the label size is based on some logic that you want to write in Python, that is also possible. So there are many ways you can write Python inside QGIS. Uh, that is the about the handout which I wanted to discuss. So uh, initially the uh, you were clipping the file, but the area parameter was not being updated. But now with this plugin, both clipping and area parameters get updated. If you want to do more, try creating two more columns and writing the area in kilometer square and kilometer. Or you can also try doing this, uh, create two files in geographic coordinate system and then change the options in calculate geometry and see the results. Uh, so that is what we had to discuss today.